So most doctors don't have the time to sit and answer your questions. I used to see 40 patients a day and I felt very badly when I could only spend 10 to 12 minutes with them and maybe one or two questions. Especially your questions that are lifestyle questions that help your heart disease, your diabetes, your metabolic symptoms like visceral fat, high blood pressure, etc. Every month, you flood my comments with questions, and I've gotten so many emails and comments asking questions that I decided to do an Ask Me Anything video. If popular, then I will do this regularly each month. So here goes, these questions that you've submitted. Can you really quit statins? Is carnivore diet safe after a bypass? I'm feeling really well, they say. And the one that haunts me, honestly haunts me, why did a perfect calcium score still end in a heart attack? Today, I'm answering the questions you upvoted the most. I'm a doctor who reversed 30 years of carotid plaque in just 3 months, so let's get into it. First, let's look at the meal-based ones because you keep asking me to confirm it. Several green salads a day, I say. Dr. Esselton told me 6 times a day, which is a lot. Do a minimum of 3. 1 salad for every meal that you do if you eat 3 meals a day. Try to keep it in an 8-hour window or less. In between, just grab a handful of greens and start chewing them. Add some dressing, dressed with only balsamic, lemon, no oils though. In my super reversal salad video, I mentioned eating salad 6 times a day, then putting 1 tablespoon of flaxseed and 1 tablespoon of chia seeds. That's only for the entire day, not for each salad portion that you eat 6 times a day, because that would be way too much chia, way too much flax. It will cause a lot of stomach upset, too much. Steel cut oatmeal, what I do is I created a batch, put it in the fridge to lower the glycemic index. Steel cut oatmeal already has the lowest glycemic index, meaning it doesn't raise the sugar as much. It's mild in that regard. But when you put it in the fridge, the glycemic index gets even lower. And then I scoop it out in the morning, put some hot water on it, heat it up, and then I add my tablespoon of ground flaxseed, a tablespoon of chia, add berries, sometimes I add lentils and some greens. When I put the chia and flaxseed in my oatmeal, I don't put it in my salad. So just that note there. I always eat my greens first, then my oatmeal, then my sourdough bread with natto and garlic and balsamic vinegar, then my grapefruit. And if you have diabetes or pre-diabetic, I would eat a half a grapefruit each meal. So you get 1 whole grapefruit, which can lower your cholesterol by 20%. I don't do nuts. So you're right that it's very strict, but this is a healing phase. It's not a forever diet. So think about it as a cast on a broken bone. You stay strict while it heals, then you earn back room. Your arterial wall only repairs when you remove the insult completely. So with the heart vessels, I anticipate it'll take 3 to 5 years. So I'm prepared to be on this very low fat diet, whole food plant-based diet for 3 to 5 years. Let's see how it goes. I've already gotten to 13 months. I will do another CT scan soon. You asked about beets. Grate them raw. Raw beets keep nitrates. Your body turns into nitric oxide, the molecule that relaxes and widens your arteries, but also revives your endothelial cells, which then release more nitric oxide. Boiling them just washes those nitrates down the drain. And if legumes like beans and wheat upset your stomach, ramp them up slowly, soak them overnight, rinse your beans, and start with red lentils or split peas, not the other beans. So swap wheat for oats or quinoa or buckwheat. Try different species. You don't need wheat to reverse plaque. They're just an alternative for food in which you eat, whole grain wheats. So many of you ask, what is the second food after pomegranate? Well, I've showed through many videos, it's natto, the fermented Japanese soybean, and its enzyme nattokinase. Pomegranate upgrades your HDL, so it pulls cholesterol out of the wall of your plaque. Nattokinase helps break down the fibrin scaffolding inside the plaque, inside soft plaque, to disintegrating that plaque and allowing that cholesterol to be moved out by the HDL. Two foods, two completely different mechanisms, they work in tandem. And before you ask, yes, natto is an acquired taste. Rinse it, stir it hard for 30 seconds, add some mustard, splash of some other flavor. I do chopped red onion, chopped garlic, 1 clove for every 2 tablespoons of natto. Then I add some balsamic vinegar. I put on my toasted sourdough bread. Add some sliced strawberries, tastes delicious. But the natto gives you vitamin K2, as you see in one of my other videos. But if you want to skip that, you can just take the supplement nattokinase in a capsule, but you have to take at least 6,000 to 10,800 units of nattokinase. Should you eat the whole pomegranate instead of drink the juice? People are concerned about the sugar. You can, and you get the fiber as a bonus, but the studies that actually shrank carotid wall thickness and carotid plaque use the juice in its concentrated form, about 50 mils a day, because it concentrates the punicalagins, which sit in the peel and in the white pith of the pomegranate. So eat the fruit and still keep a small daily pour of real juice with no added sugar. Make sure you eat or drink it last and then walk for 15-20 minutes. On oxalates in your kidneys, here's the good news. Pomegranate is not actually high in oxalate. If you are a stone former, keep the pour small, 50 mils, not that much, 7 grams of sugar. Drink plenty of water. Don't swap in grapefruit juice if you take a statin, because grapefruit can push your drug levels high on certain statins. So more on that in a moment. Here's another question. Instead of several small salads, can I blend it all, sip it through the day? Yes, you can. Blending keeps all the fiber, juicing throws it away. So a blended salad still counts as a whole food. Lose a little of the fullness that chewing gives you, so don't be surprised if you get hungry sooner. Sip it through the day and rinse your mouth with water after to protect your teeth from the acidity. But the problem is that when you chew it, the bacteria in your mouth actually convert the nitrates to nitrites, and the stomach acid convert the nitrites to nitric oxide. So you're going to lose a lot of that process because you're just going to swallow it without mixing it with your saliva and the bacteria in your mouth. Here's another question. Can I steam the greens to cut the volume? Does that lose the nutrition? Well, steam away. When you steam it, a salad that looks this big suddenly becomes like a handful. So light steaming shrinks the volume so you can eat far more greens and you can keep most of the nutrition. You lose a little vitamin C and a folate, but you actually absorb more of the carotenoids like lutein once the softwell's soft. So steam rather than boil and pour the water down to sink, but you can actually keep the water to use as vegetable broth or just drink it as well. Keep some of the raw greens in the mix for the nitrates. Sometimes, steaming spinach could raise the oxalates in the spinach, so don't eat too much spinach. Don't boil them too long. Another question, should I drink the 50 mils of pomegranate juice forever? Are you still drinking it now that your arteries look better? Yeah, I drink it actually in the morning and in the evening. I found in the evening with pomegranate juice and turmeric juice, my sleep is much deeper. My deep sleep went from 30 minutes to over an hour. It doubled, sometimes it triples. So I drink it twice a day. In the studies, they show that starting from 3 months, you get reduced CMIT wall thickness in the carotids, and about 13%, and then it proceeds to up to 36% by month 12. They continued a subset of the patients to 3 years, and because it didn't really reduce that much more. You're talking diminishing returns as you do it, but it did decrease the oxidation of LDL. Another question, how much natto do you eat per day? I just ordered a kit to make my own. I eat about 2 tablespoons a day, which gives me about 350 to 500 micrograms of vitamin K2, which you can see in this video, reduces calcification of your arteries. So about 40 grams, maybe 50 grams of natto has maybe about 1,500 to 2,000 fibrinolytic units, but you need at least 6,000 to 10,800, so I supplement the rest. The big question is, can I take nattokinase 16, like 10,000 units if I take the baby aspirin or I'm on a blood thinner? Well, the honest answer is that you're going to increase your bleeding risk. And so in a fall or an accident, this could be a major problem. Definitely it needs to be discussed with your doctor. The bleeding risk needs to be taken into account. In the study that had, how many people did it have? I think it had 1,062 patients in the study, a retrospective study, and they said the no adverse effects taking 10,800 units. Of course, it's not qualified as how many were on aspirin, how many were on warfarin, and other blood thinners. I suggest just take a lower dose through food, the 2 tablespoons of natto. The biggest question I had, and many of you had, is what about protein? Because you used to protein with meat, chicken and beef and fish. And since the Dr. Esselstyn diet removes all that sources of fish and meat and eggs, basically you get it from beans. Lentil gives you 22 grams of protein for every gram of fat. Black beans gives you 15 grams of protein for every gram of fat. You'll develop different gut microbacteria in a microbiome or bacteria in your gut. And therefore, it makes it easier, but you still get a lot of flatulence. In other words, you fart a lot. So, in a 70 kilogram person, they say you need 1 gram per kilogram, which is about 70 grams of protein. I typically have looked at the studies in the more ancient populations, those diets, and they can range from a half a gram per kilogram. So 70 kilogram, some like rural China was having from 7 grams of protein to 70 grams of protein, right? And the key there was the fat consumption was 10 to 12%, and they essentially had no heart disease. So, unless you're growing, I don't think, or weightlifting, you probably don't need a lot of protein. If you're exercising, you need a little bit more for muscle growth and maintenance. You can add an edamame soybean, but not too much because it has more fat with it. And how did the classic supplements fit in, like creatine, essential amino acids, collagens, and vitamins? This person said they're not ideologically a vegan, but would love to hear what the evidence shows. I mean, based on some evidence, creatine is good for muscle development, 3 to 5 grams a day. Plant eaters will have a harder time getting this into their system. The essential amino acids are usually unnecessary because you get most of them in your diet. You primarily want to get vitamin B12 supplementation because in vegans or whole food plant-based diet, that is the bigger risk. I get it from a spirulina mostly, and I've seen my B12 levels that I measure very consistently right in the middle. So I'm not too concerned about vitamin B12, although occasionally I will supplement if I'm not eating my spirulina. Collagen is dependent on vitamin C and some amino acids. So yeah, I supplement with vitamin C. I make sure I eat enough fruits, but I exercise a lot, so I do supplement with vitamin C, both for prophylaxis of heart disease, but also basically prevent more plaque. Next question: how soon after starting a statin should I recheck my blood to see the effect? I initially checked my blood levels, my lipid profile, my fractionation, NMR, to look at all the particle sizes of my lipids every month in the beginning. I do it about every 3 months now because it's pretty stable. My LDL dropped about 50% in 5 weeks, 64% in 12 weeks. But I also was doing the whole food plant-based diet, but also exercising high intensity and doing my fasting protocol. I would definitely track ApoB along with LDL and HDL, triglycerides, and highly sensitive CRP. These are like the big markers. and HbA1c, which is your measure of glycation on your hemoglobin, an indication of metabolic health. Glycation is a form of inflammation. I got a question. Can you take nattokinase, lumbrokinase, and aspirin that all thin your blood, each in a different way? Well, essentially increasing theoretically your blood bleeding risk. So again, stacking all three could reduce your plaque risk, but at the same time, it increases your bleeding risk. So it's pros and cons. I would advise you to discuss this with your physician. It makes me uncomfortable when you're taking too many supplements or drugs that increase bleeding risk. Are nitric oxide supplements worth it? Well, I haven't really done the deep dive on this. Future newsletter material and YouTube video, but I always try to default to food will have more absorption bioavailability than pills, but that's not always the case. Raw beets, leafy greens give you the nitrates for free. If you do supplement, citrulline is a better studied one. Skip the antiseptic mouthwash because that kills the bacteria that convert the nitrates to nitrates in green leafy vegetables, and the antacids that also convert it into nitric oxide. So some of you have said you are intolerant to statins because of side effects. You either had muscle pain, you have bad dreams, you have constipation, brain fog, and you want to quit cold turkey. The side effects are real. 25% or more people discontinue because of side effects on these statins, but try not to stop a statin cold turkey on your own, especially with your known blockages. If you know you have blockages, because stopping abruptly can spike your risk at the worst possible moment. Statins are there as a hedge to slow down the progression, right? Reduce your risk by lowering LDL. So discuss it with your physician. But definitely, if you are on one, take coenzyme Q10 because that's also blocked by the statin, and that's important for energy. So you can supplement with CoQ10 for that, but you can also start to diet and measure it. I've had one person who went on a low-fat, whole food, plant-based diet, 71-year-old with 6 medications. In about 1 month, he was off 4 of them, and high blood pressure because his blood pressure normalized, his fasting glucose normalized, but he was eating 2 meals a day, and so it was lower caloric, low fat. It was higher carbs, but it was refined carbs. And he lost a lot of weight too, which also helps. Every pound reduces your blood pressure and so forth. These videos save lives. Tag me, like, subscribe, and ask your questions below. Click one of these videos and share it with someone you love. Together, we will save lives. For my up-to-date learnings and more, visit me at ham.com.